Good evening. Let me call the Stillwater Planning Commission meeting of February 16, 2016 to order. Item number 2, land use items for discussion and possible action. A, John Green specific use permit PZ.16.2048 requesting review and approval of specific use permit at the property addressed at 3014 South Main Street to allow healthcare as social assistance use in RTM zoning district. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Patty Evans, Development Services. This is for a specific use permit. The property is located on South Main. This is South Main, and it's also the city limits. And the property is shown in the hatched area. This is Boomer, South Boomer. Down on here, East-West Street is 32nd. And the north-south street right back here is Husband. The property is zoned RTM, and they are wanting a health and social assistance use. So a specific use permit is required for this property. The property to the south is also RTM, that's two-family and multifamily. To the west is agriculture. And just north to the agriculture is RSS, small lot single family, and to the north is small lot single family. The aerial shows the existing structures and the existing parking lot. On the north side, the uses include, this is a church, and I believe the church is using the smaller structure on the property. Across the street to the west, directly across the street, the agriculture property, it has a couple of structures on it, but no residential structures. It is used for agriculture. North of that is the Terrell Brothers addition here on 29th Street, and it has 29 single-family homes. And to the east, to the south are the apartments, and to the east, outside the city limits, part of that lot is very heavily wooded. And then the use down here on the south of that lot used to be owned by the school. It's privately owned now. I'm not sure what the use is. The main structure that's shown here with the 3 wings was constructed in the 1960s as a nursing home. But the latest use has been a group home, but it has been vacant for many years. A rezoning and an SUP was approved for personal storage and warehousing in 2005, and that's the latest activity on this property. The proposed use for the property, which prompts the SUP, is a branch of Teen Challenge. It's a residential faith-based counseling and rehabilitation service. This type of use is included in the health and social assistance category. Rather than treating any addiction with drugs, this program helps the residents to form a personal relationship with God and how to apply God's Word to their life circumstances. Teen Challenge is actually kind of a misnomer. The name dates back to the 1960s when Teen Challenge was formed to work with teenagers, especially gang members. But now it does have adult men and adult women. Teen Challenge is a national and even an international organization with over 200 centers in the U.S. and 6 here in Oklahoma. The proposed center here in Stillwater is to be a men's facility. Our findings include a SUP is required for health and social assistance use in the RTM, two-family and multifamily residential zoning district. The health and social assistant use is compatible with the C3 plan of commercial. The use will be a residential faith-based counseling and rehabilitations facility. The structure was originally built and used as a residential care facility, and the facility will be for adult men. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Thank you very much. I'll open the public hearing. Anybody that'd like to speak in favor of this specific use permit? If you would state your name and address, I would appreciate it very much before you begin with your.
My name is Richard Buchanan. I live at 417 South Orchard, but I'm here tonight on behalf of the First United Methodist Church of Stillwater, of which I'm the vice chair of the Board of Trustees. We are the owners of 5.5 acres that share a contiguous northern boundary with the property that has submitted the application. I want to tell you that our Board of Trustees, speaking on behalf of our congregation, very, very strongly support their application. We have absolutely no problems with what they want to do, and we believe that it is consistent with life in the area and that it will be a benefit to the area.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any
You're
questions?
very welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I brought some visual aids here.
That is absolutely no problem. When you get to the mic, if you'd state your name and address, I'd appreciate it.
My name is Wayne
It might be helpful if you turn around the opposite way, and then the camera
Camera. Okay, I
catches
just
it,
thought,
and then it can appear on here.
all right. I just wanted you guys to be able to see it. I know there's a few.
We could,
Okay, that'll work. I just put some talking points underneath because I know there's usually
you
some
can see the talking
concerns.
points. We can see it on the TV, and
Okay,
thank you very much for your patience.
thank you. My name is Wayne Gray, Mustang, Oklahoma. I'm also the state director for Teen Challenge of Oklahoma. And as we know, this is the building here that we're talking about, and should we get the special use permit, then we would be entering into an agreement to purchase this building. We would like to purchase it, as was stated, for an adult men's facility. We are adult and teen challenge. We actually are trademarking the name adult and teen challenge because we actually help both. As was stated, we've been in this in existence since 1958. The first residential programs did come along in the 1960s. Teen Challenge is also worldwide under Global Teen Challenge in 114 countries. Teen Challenge came to Oklahoma in 1988. Its first facility was in Cache. It's still there. And we now have 6 facilities. Actually, another one in the works of opening inside of Lawton Correctional Institute. They're giving us a pod there to open one inside the prison right there. So we have grown through the years. And I know that there's some concerns, at times about what we do and who we help. And that's why I put those talking points there. We have a high success rate because we believe because we are a Christian program. We call ourselves a recovery program because it's not traditional rehabilitation in the sense of using the 12 steps. We are coming at it from a Christian standpoint, teaching people that come to us with their life-controlling issues to develop a relationship with Jesus Christ and to basically help them to be able to apply that to their everyday life. Many of our workers at one time came to us for help and are now in a position of helping others. And so it's kind of comes full circle. Our programs are 1 year. For the most part, we have adolescent programs. We have 2 adolescent programs up in the northeast part of the state. And everyone in those programs are 17 or younger, ages 13 to 17. And then we have 4 adult programs as well. So I just want a couple of talking points on that. First, I want to say that it is residential, but our clients, they do not have use of vehicles. If someone came up to our program in a vehicle, we would tell them to call somebody to pick it up because they can't have a car and live. They can't. If they have a car, they can't live. They can't leave it there at our center. So they have no use of. They have no vehicle or use of vehicles to go and drive around the community. Also, they are not allowed to leave the property. It's residential. It's not locked down in the sense of like early release from prison or something like that, or some kind of lockdown facility. But they are screened, and they come to us, and they're committing to be in our program for the year. And also, and the doors are locked, but they could leave. They could come to us and choose to leave if they want to leave. They're not sentenced to us. Some come to us and they may have some kind of legal issue, some kind of probation or something because of that. But for the most part, they're not sentenced there. And even if the courts wanted to send someone to us, they would go through a rigorous screening process before we would allow them to come into our program. We wouldn't take anybody unless we really felt like they wanted to be in the program and they wanted to change their life. And they were open to receiving the kind of help that we're offering. If they want to leave, they have to come and see a staff member. We keep their luggage locked up, so any concerns there might be about someone getting their bags going through the neighborhood, their luggage is locked up. They have to come to us if they want to leave, and we allow them to make phone calls. We will take them to the bus station or allow someone to come and pick them up. So I know there might be some concerns about people wandering around through the neighborhood, but it doesn't happen for the most part. And we allow them to make the phone calls if they want to leave. We do not take registered sex offenders, and we do not take violent offenders. Yes, people come to us and they may have some legal issues, and for most of the time in almost every situation, it has to do with their drug background. They may have stolen, they may have written a hot check or something like that to get drugs, and so there are some that come to us, with some legal situation, but we do not take sex offenders and we do not take violent offenders. And all activities from our residents, our clients, are monitored. They don't go in the community and have jobs. They're there when we go somewhere, whether the church or to go to some type of micro enterprise or something that we do, we go as a group. So I know those are some big issues that some folks in the neighborhood, in the area might have. And just to say this, our two programs for adolescents are rural. The original one in Cache that we've mentioned, that's rural out in the country. But we have a program pretty much in downtown Chakotah, 36,000 square foot women's with children's facility, and that's just right off the downtown of Chakotah. We also are on Main Street in Sapulpa, and a men's program right in the heart of southwest Oklahoma City at 55th and Young. So we are we're not just all rural, we are in city and towns as well, and we have good relationships with the community. We work towards that, and we haven't had any incidents of people going and harassing anybody because of these talking points here, the way we handle them if they want to leave, and the way we restrict them from wandering and restrict them to the property.
Any questions?
Maybe one quick question. On your clients, how do they come to your program? Is it kind of administered through local churches, or is it kind of self-admittance type of thing? Or?
Yes, a lot of times might be a family member in a church. They'll go talk to their pastor. So I have a son, a grandson, nephew, niece. So pastoral referrals are a big way. And now, of course, internet. Most of our referrals initiate from the internet. That's why we were called Teen Challenge, where we put the adult and Teen Challenge, because people doing the search, an adult may pass right over it. So many times they're coming and looking on the internet on a handheld device and then calling us up. And when we start the screening, we give them the information and start the screening process from there.
Are most of the residents local residents, or the people that participate in Chakotah or Cache or any of those, are they local, or are they usually from a different community coming in?
Well, it's best to have them from a different community, and because we have several programs, we can do it that way, because if they do get the fever and want to leave or something, they can't just walk down the street and go home.
Yeah.
So if there was somebody from Stillwater here, we'd probably, place them in one of our other programs in the state. Be close enough, obviously, for family visits and that kind of thing, and it'd still be in Oklahoma, but it wouldn't be so easy to leave. They wouldn't be driving through town and seeing familiar things and getting homesick and that kind of thing.
If one of your clients were to leave the premises, how is that handled? Is that a phone call to the police? Do you all go after them? Do you send counselor to speak to them if they were to just walk?
You talking about if they did just walk off?
Yeah.
Well, no, we wouldn't call the police because, again, it's not a lockdown facility, and they wouldn't, even if they had some kind of probation or some kind of legal requirement, it wouldn't be somewhere we would call the police. We would call their probation officer and say, hey, they left. And if that were the case, But for the most part, if they leave, they're trying to get home, so they're not wandering the neighborhood. So, we'll take their stuff, and like I said, we have their luggage, so we know they didn't leave with their luggage. We'll take that, we'll pack their stuff up, and we'll wait on their phone call. We don't go doing searches. Now, for the adolescents, we do because we have custody of them. But for an adult that would leave, because it does happen from time to time, to just take off, they have a destination on their mind. They're trying to get somewhere in another part of the state or wherever that they live. And so that's usually, we just wait for their phone call, and they may call back, so you got my stuff, and we'll say, yeah, come get it or whatever, or send somebody after it. But, so no, we don't do a search for adults that would leave. Now, if one were wandering the neighborhood or something, if that were to happen, obviously, we would do everything we could to get them in the vehicle and give them a ride. But for the most part, if they do leave that way, they know where they're going, and they're headed out of town.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Can we just leave that there for right now, or take it down?
Why don't you take it down? Anybody else that'd like to speak in favor of this item? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Adam Dice. I live at 5702 North Washington, and I'm speaking as the pastor of Grace Missionary Baptist Church. Excuse me. I'm somewhat familiar with the Teen Challenge program, and I've talked to people that have successfully completed it and said how it's changed their lives. I personally experienced the power of the gospel, and I support this program because of its method, and I just wanted to offer our support as a church. We think it would be good for our community.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is Levi Armstrong. I live at 636 East 14th. I have personal experience in the program. I went through it. I went through it about 2 years ago, and it was probably the most challenging thing I'd ever done in my life, but by far the most beneficiary. I had a drug abuse problem for almost 10 years and had decided to join through family support and support of my church. And it was just an amazing thing. To support what he said, I went to the one in cash. So we were out in the country, but guys did try to leave. Most of the time, pastors and counselors there were able to talk to them and get them to see the benefits and get them calmed down. And so very rarely would you actually see somebody progress to leave, but normally they would come back to the facility and be taken to a bus station from there. And from being there, seeing the way that it affected the men's lives and having them in a group situation like that, it's just like any other team. It builds good support and it builds good character, and there was nothing else like that experience in my life. And so I very strongly support the idea of this ministry being here, because I think it could do our community a lot of good, because they do go out into the communities and they spread good cheer and are of great service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to speak in favor of this?
I'm Pastor Leroy Hawkins, Hosanna Assembly of God here in town. I'm the pioneer pastor of Hosanna. We came into existence in November of 1985 and exist to this day and reach out to individuals. Levi is one of those individuals that we had the privilege of reaching out to. My wife and I, Robin and I, had the privilege of taking he and his fiancee through premarital counseling, had the privilege of marrying them, and had the privilege of having them a very wonderful contributing part of Hosanna. That's part of the story that I would want you to know. The other part of the story is that from the beginning of Hosanna's existence, I've been aware of Teen Challenge and we have had a monthly pledge to Teen Challenge for these 30 years. Little did I know that in supporting this powerful ministry of rehabilitation, that one of my own family members would need the services and ministries of this. My baby brother, I'm the oldest of 9, and my baby brother about 2.5 years ago was at the point of, we were just frantic thinking that his alcohol problem and drug problem would take his life at any moment. But thankfully, he came to the point where he cried out to the family and said, "I need help." And we knew above all sources where we wanted to refer him, and that was Teen Challenge. He has successfully gone through that program and is living a rehabilitated, very much powerfully contributing life to the community where he has a job in Woodward at the present. I strongly, strongly support this program.
Thank you very much. Anybody else would like to speak in favor of this? Yes, sir, you still need to state your name and address, please.
My name is Wes Watkins, and 4718 West 8th Avenue, Stillwater, Oklahoma, 74074. I like to stand in strong support, not as a politician, not as a former office holder, but as a father. I'd like to speak in behalf of the fact that there is a tremendous need for this program in Stillwater, Oklahoma. My wife and I, we've had our home open for years, mainly to teenagers, teenage girls. There's a lot of problems out there. When I was in business long before I got in politics, I had Bible study. I was giving young men one last chance before they were sent to prison. And I helped some men come back out of prison and get back with their family. Many of these men have had alcohol problems or drug problems. We have our home available today, working with young men and women. There's a lot of problems out there that we have right here in Stillwater. I wish that we had a place that we could refer some of these people, some of these young people to. These are the sons and daughters of people. Many of them will never get back with their mom and dad. If you had a place that they go and get rehab, and you ask, where do these people come from? All I ask you to do is just ask and start talking to young people with open mind. I have a habit of asking young people, where are you from? And normally I know some people in nearly every one of these towns, and so I start talking to them. But they're hurting out there. They're hurting today, as you all hear, about the tremendous debt that they're carrying. This is stressful. They turn to the bottle. They turn to drugs. I'm thankful that I learned a lesson from watching my dad. I don't drink alcohol, don't do any kind of drugs, because I've watched things happen in my home family. We need this program in Stillwater. And I urge you to do whatever you can to move it forward. I apologize for my throat, but I've been out there in this wind working, trying to build a hydroponic system to help with world hunger. World hunger is worse than it's ever been. Alcohol and drugs worse than it's ever been. What are we going to do here in Stillwater? Thank you.
Congressman. Anybody else?
My name is Calvin Millen. I'm the pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church in Stillwater. And I just want to share that twice a month we have a program that reached out to our community, goes to the various parts of our city and invite those that have habitual problem, drugs, alcohol, to come to our church service on Saturdays. And then those that have problems, we find a facility to place them in to help them out. They're young and they're old. And a facility like this here will be very helpful to our community. And I just want to speak on that behalf. I visited the site, walked through it, prayed about it, and I think it's a good thing for our community.
Thank you very much. Anybody else that's like to speak in favor of this? Any? Yes.
My name is Dee Miller. My address is 1602 Fairfield Drive, but I'm the local administrator for the Department of Corrections, Community Sentencing. So I do work with our local felons. And if you've ever been to the felony docket here, which is held now on every Wednesday and every Friday, we have approximately 100 people on that docket every single week. Somewhere between 80 and 85% of those individuals have drug charges that are pending. The rest of them have basically theft-related events. Some of them are violent, but most of those things, most of the time, have occurred because they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs. A large part of my budget, and community sentencing is a funded part of probation, so I'm able to send people to treatment to address those issues. So if you heard about our budget crunch, I said sometimes now instead of sending people to treatment, I basically have to put them in jail for 4, 5, 6 months because I don't have money to send them to treatment. I've had some experience with the program. It's hard for us to send people out of the state. It's hard for us to send sometimes people even out of the county. But these people, our people, could benefit greatly from something, number one, that's Christ-based, and secondly, that's a year-long program. Individuals that are addicted to methamphetamine, you need to treat them for a minimum of 6 months. At the state rate, residential treatment's $2,220 per month. Most of us don't have $14,000, $15,000, and that's my rate. That's not what you pay as a private individual. I can't spend that much money to send people to treatment. So generally, I treat people for about 60 days, and then we bounce them back and forth to jail until we can keep them sober and get them organized so that they can maintain that sobriety. So the Adult Teen Challenge program would be very beneficial. It is in other parts of the state, and Stillwater also needs that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this?
My name is Ben Crockett, and I'm 6909 Overland Trail, Ripley. And my wife and I, Jean, we've been working with CASA for about the last 5 years, and in just about every case that we were involved in, it's been drug and alcohol abuse that has caused the problem to break up the family and the child abuse and many of the problems that we see today in our society. And there are facilities here in Stillwater for women and even for the children, but not any, as far as I'm aware of, that are for the men, specifically for the men. So, for this reason, I would favor this facility out there for the men, and because they're going to come back, hopefully will come back to their families and be the man that they're supposed to be, the head of the family. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else like to speak in favor of this? Anybody like to speak in opposition of this item? Is there anybody in in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Good evening again.
All right, the alternatives are to accept the findings and recommend that the City Council approve the proposed specific use permit as presented. Number 2, accept the findings and recommend that the City Council approve the proposed specific use permit with commission-identified conditions. Number 3, find that the specific use permit is not an appropriate use for the property based upon the impacts to the surrounding vicinity, and do not recommend that the City Council approve the use permit. And number 4, find the additional information or discussion is needed prior to making a recommendation and table the request to a certain date. Do you have any final questions?
Final questions? Commission discussion or motion?
I'd just say I'd like to commend so many people for coming out in support of an issue and taking your time to say that. Personally, I'm excited not only that a building that's not being occupied will become occupied, but something that could impact our community, impact people. So I'm all for it.
Agreed. I'm really glad to see all the support from the community on this.
One thing I wanted to add, I grew up around Teen Challenge. I've had several friends and family members that have been to Teen Challenge. I volunteered there for quite a while in the Lawton Teen Challenge. One thing that I would point out, I was ready to argue. I didn't tell you why we should all be for this, but you're all for it. But the people that I know that have been there have been the 3 close friends of mine. One's a physician and 2 of them are business owners, and they're in their 50s. I mean, this isn't just wild children running around. These are grown men that have executive positions a lot of times that have fallen into especially prescription drug abuse. And so it's just, it's not really what you think of when you think of rehab, but it's the people I know, and it's been a great addition to their lives, and I'm glad you guys are all for it. Appreciate you coming out.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Item number 3, policies, procedure, orders for discussion. City of Stillwater Land Development Code Amendment PZ 16-2051. We deferred this last meeting to February 16th. The staff is recommending that the hearing be dismissed. If it comes back up, a new hearing date and public notice will be sent. Discussion, or do you want to do a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept staff's recommendation to dismiss.
Second.
Motion passes. Item number 4, approve the meeting summary for discussion and possible action. The regular summary of February 2nd, 2016.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion passes. The next planning commission is scheduled for March 1st, 2016. Your motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
It's the first time we're